going over the strategy for a table question, but I will go ahead and repeat it for you. It's basically a fill-the-blank question. The table will always look something like this right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 questions here. Normally a table question goes in order, but just like you may have heard if you watched the other video with the diagram, it's possible that if 2 and 3 are in the same sentence or right next to each other, that you might find the answer for number 3 before you find the answer for number 2. So it is possible for a table question to not go in order. It's possible, but the vast majority of the time that's not going to happen. All right, so when we're looking at this one here, for the table question, we treat it like a fill-the-blank question. We have to fill in. Number 1 is one method. Number 2 is another method, ribbon. The second method right here, ribbon. So what I would probably do is I would probably start with the second one first, because the word ribbon is going to be easy to find. It's a type of method, because it says right here, early methods of producing flat glass. Early methods of producing flat glass. So I'm going to look for ribbon, and then I'm looking for something that says could produce glass sheets of varying. So the answer for number 4 will connect to the word varying. Varying means like different, like varying sizes, right? And number 5, it says the glass was blank. All right, and then we also have 20% of the glass rubbed away. Machines were expensive. So number 5 most likely is going to come before this language of 20%, but 20% is going to be easy to find, right? That's going to be easy to find. All right, so let's take a look. See if we can find the word ribbon. Start at the very beginning. We see they're starting off with Mesopotamia and the Egyptians, so they're starting off really early. Oh, wow. Well, as we're scanning, we actually see number 1 right here. It says the first successful method for making clear flat glass involves spinning. Okay. So that's actually our answer for number 1 right here, the spinning method. Right? That's the first method. The first method is spinning. Early methods of producing flat glass. First method is spinning. Okay. All right, so I'll go to number 2. The glass remained. All right, see what it says. I'm right here in the first paragraph, everyone. I'm in the third sentence where it says the first successful method. Right here where you see that little hand on the screen. Right, always follow the little hand. The first method for making clear flat glass involves spinning. All right, our next sentence says this method was very effective as the glass had not touched any surface between being soft and becoming hard, so it stayed perfectly unblemished with a fire finish. This method was very effective as the glass had not touched any surfaces between being soft and becoming hard, so it stayed perfectly unblemished. All right, so our answer for number 2 is unblemished, right? Because the word remained. The word remained right here. You see. Remember, I told you with fill the blank questions, pay attention to the word before the blank line. When we're looking for number 2, we're looking for a word that means the same as remained. Because if we could find the word that means the same as remained, we'll know what the answer is for number 2. So right here in the paragraph, we see the word stayed. Right? Stayed is a synonym for remained. Right? So stayed, perfectly unblemished. Remained, perfectly unblemished. So our answer is unblemished. 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 I could write perfectly unblemished because it says I could write 2 words. right? It says I could write two words, so I could write perfectly unblemished, but you don't have to write that adverb. You can just write the word. You can just write unblemished. And finally, we're looking for something that comes after slow. So it's slow and then something else. You see these two periods right here, that little period right there and that little period right here. Look at the hand. The period, the dot or marker in front of the word slow. That means these two things are separate. It's slow, and then basically it's like and then number 3 is also something else. All right, so here's our synonym. It says, last sentence, however, the process took a long time. Long time is synonym for slow. Long time is synonym for slow. Was slow and, there's our and, labor intensive. So the answer for the next one is labor intensive. Right there, labor intensive. I'm in the last sentence, everyone. We see it right there, labor intensive. Labor intensive. However, the process took a long time and was labor intensive. That's our answer. And long time is synonym for slow. So you're seeing as we're going through these examples, how important it is to understand synonym language. That's really, really important. You have to understand it. All right, so let's keep moving down. We know the next part of the table deals with the word ribbon. Here it is right here. Ribbon. Right, here it is right here. The first continuous, now remember, if you don't remember, some of you guys have good memory, some of you don't. There's the word ribbon, and for number 4, it says could produce glass sheets of varying. So for number 4, I'm looking for a word. I'm looking for a word that means the same as varying, right? Varying. If I find the word that means the same as varying, then I'll know the word, that I know the answer for number 4 automatically because it's connected. All right, so the first continuous ribbon process involves squeezing molten glass through 2 hot rollers, similar to an old mangle. No word that means the same as varying yet. This allowed glass of virtually any thickness. There's our answer right there. Any, the word any, is similar to the word varying. Any means like it could be anything. It could be 1, it could be 2, it could be 3, it could be 4, any, right? Any is synonym for varying. So our correct answer here is thickness. This allowed glass of virtually any thickness. This allowed glass of varying thickness. Virtually any is the same thing as saying varying, okay? So the answer is thickness, Thickness, thickness. And number 5, that we have nonstop process. And number 5, the glass was blank. 20% of glass rubbed away, all right? What was the glass? Should come before 20%. There's 20%. There's nonstop. Okay, so it has to be in between there. But the rollers will leave both sides of the glass marked. Oh, so the glass was marked. It will leave both sides of the glass marked. And these would need to be ground and polished. So the glass was marked. Marked. There's the answer right there. M-A-R-K-E-D. Marked. All right, so you see for this one, it went in order. Up here in this first paragraph, we had the information for the first one, the spinning process. And then in the next paragraph, we had the information for the ribbon process. So it went in order. And like I told you, for the most part, that's what it's going to do, except for sometimes we have an exception. All right, so that's our first look at the example for a table question. All right, talk to you soon. Hello there. It's time to get into another question strategy.
And this time, everybody, we are going to take the time to analyze the diagram. On the IELTS reading test, every now and then, not every time, but every now and then they'll throw in a diagram. And so it's just important for you to have a general understanding of how that works. Now, you might see a diagram on the general test. You might see a diagram on the academic test. Same strategy, the exact same. So a diagram question might look like what you see on the right-hand side, right? They have a diagram of how they collect ants. And you have all these blank lines you have to finish or really complete. And you have to be able to look at a diagram. And really, this is how they're testing your English, right? You have to be able to look at that picture, you have to be able to look at what they're talking about for number 37 and looking at it and saying, well, what is the shape of that? And then recognizing the shape of that, right? The roof, the angled roof, looking at this and being able to see that language in a paragraph and know that's what they're talking about, right? Or looking at number 40 on the bottom there. And then when you're looking at number 40 on the bottom down here, being able to know that that looks like some type of pan, right? So that's how they're testing your English. Being able to look at a diagram and recognizing the English words for these different things. Now, there is a scanning requirement, and normally for a diagram question, the scanning requirement involves your being able to find the paragraph where they are describing the diagram. There's always going to be one paragraph, possibly two, where they are describing what the diagram looks like. Okay? And then, of course, you may have to work on synonym language. It depends if there are words before and after the blank line, right? But a diagram question is basically a fill-the-blank question. That's what it is. You have to fill these different blank lines by looking at how they describe the diagram in a paragraph and then recognizing these different parts on the diagram in terms of what the meaning is in English. So with the diagram question, in terms of the question strategy, of course you have to identify the key words on the diagram if it has words. So for example, for this one you have the word metal, you have the word covered with, you have the word content. That's really important language because that language is going to connect to the answer choices. Of course, on a diagram, you want to choose the part of the diagram that's easiest to find the answer for first. In terms of the scanning part, like I said, normally it doesn't involve a lot of scanning because they're going to describe the diagram normally in just one paragraph, two maximum. And then we apply our answer strategy, right? Recognizing the part of the diagram they're referring to and knowing what that's called in English. They're going to give you the answer in the paragraph. You don't have to come up with the answer from your own head. So let's look at this example right here in terms of a diagram. With this one, now with a diagram, also keep in mind with a diagram, it may not go in order. It may not go in order. And this one can give you evidence of that. When we look at this one here, we can see how in the paragraph, it says the carbolic smoke ball was a hollow, right, rubber ball. So here they're pointing to the fact that it's hollow. So the answer for number 8 is going to be rubber ball, right? 5 centimeters across with a nozzle, right? So you're supposed to know that this part of this shape in English is called a nozzle. It's called a nozzle. And then it says covered by gauze. You're supposed to know that this is gauze. Now, number 5 would have been the easiest one to find because it says covered with. And here it says what? Covered by gauze, right? Covered by gauze. So if you find number 5 first, and you find that that's gauze, you know number 5 and number 6 have to be close together. And then number 7 is showing you what's on the inside. That's why they have it cut out like this. It's showing you what's on the inside. So when you're looking at the language of the paragraph, you're looking for what they're saying on the inside. It says inside was powder. So if you look at it, question 8 in the paragraph, we saw question 8, then we saw question 6, then we saw question 5, then question 7. So it wasn't going in exact order, and that can happen when answer choices are bunched up together. Okay? Now in this diagram, we're looking at another diagram. And when I have a diagram and it has a title, like how the 1670 lever-based device worked, I'm going to find that very easily because of the date. Very easily because of the date. And then it's just a matter of filling in what's on the blank line. So it says it was called the anchor escapement, right? Or number 9 would be escapement anchor. But they're giving me a word right there, resembling. So you might say, well, where's the word resembling? Keep reading this sentence, and it says shaped like. So shaped like is a synonym for resemble. So ship's anchor. So again, I would put anchor. Or because here for this one, you were able to put 2 words, you could put ship's anchor. All right. And then for the next one, the motion of a pendulum rocks this device so that it catches and then releases each. Answer is tooth. Right. It catches and releases. So they're talking about right here. Right? It's catching and releasing, catching and releasing. What is it catching and releasing? It's catching and releasing from each tooth of the number 10 escape wheel. So here you see you find number 11 before you find number 10. Right? Number 11, we're talking about a circular motion. You should be able to identify that is a wheel. And then for number 12 and 13, right, we're right here. And I know 12 and 13 are connected together because it has a blank which beats each. Moreover, this invention allowed the use of a long pendulum which could beat once a second. Right? Which could beat once a is synonym for which beats each. Each is synonym for a. That means number 13 is second. And what's before that is long pendulum, right? Now, if you just put pendulum, you will be marked correct also, okay? All right, this one is a little bit more difficult to read. I'm sorry about that. I couldn't make it more clear. So I'm going to read it to you. Traditional roller coasters lifting force depends on a long line of blank. For climbing up, which is connected firmly to a blank shaped track. There are both blank on the top and underneath the heel, and it is powered by a blank line when it takes a turn. So first I'm looking for the traditional roller coaster's lifting force. And here it is right here. The traditional lifting mechanism is a long length of chain, right? A long line, a long length, answers chain. The chain is fastened in a loop. Fastened is synonym for connected firmly to. Connected firmly to is synonym for fastened. That means the answer is loop. And then number 3, which is wound around, that's tricky to say, huh? Which is wound around a gear at the top of the heel and another one at the bottom of the heel. So here we have, there are both gears. Right now, if you wrote if you wrote gears, and here's a situation. This one is interesting. Here's a situation that if you wrote the word directly from the passage, gear, it will be correct. But grammatically, on the blank line, you can put gears. There are both gears on the top and underneath. So this is one of those situations where when you look at the answer key, you would see the word gear and the word gears as both acceptable. Because the way the grammar is written in the passage, the word gear is singular. But the way the grammar is written on the answer in the question, the word gear would be plural. They would accept, in that situation, they would accept the singular and the plural. And I get that kind of question by students all the time. And that's what I mean when I say it depends on the grammar structure of the question. Okay? And then it's powered by, is turned by, which is synonym for powered by, turned by a simple motor. So with a diagram, it's like any other fill the blank question. You're paying attention to the language before the blank line. All right, so coming up next, I'm going to give you some examples using a real passage in terms of being able to explain the full passage application with scanning and the answer application. So thank you very much for joining me and have a great day. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, so let's move forward. Let's move forward into looking at our diagram question. The diagram question, as you just heard in the strategy video, is very similar to a fill the blank question. They give you a picture to look at, and you have to be able to fill in the blanks when looking at that picture. But basically, it's a fill the blank question. As I said yesterday, the whole IELTS reading is basically different versions of multiple choice and fill the blank questions. They look different and they're designed different, but essentially they're the same thing. They're just asking it in different ways. All right, so let's take a look at this test here. It's called High Speed, High Rise. So let's go ahead and work on the diagram question. All right, so here we have a diagram. It's important to look at the directions where it says choose one word only from the text for each answer. All right, and basically it says label the diagram below. So this is a diagram where they are building something. So what might be helpful in terms of trying to find the right paragraph that the information is coming from is to look for a paragraph that discusses how something is built or something being built. That might be very helpful. Also, we should note also that sometimes all the answers don't have to come in the same paragraph. 19 might come from paragraph 2, 20 and 21 might come from paragraph 3, and 22 might come from paragraph 4. Or it's possible they all might come in the same paragraph, but you have to be aware of that. You have to be aware that it is possible that they may not all come in the exact same paragraph, okay? So let's be aware of that. Now, like I've told you, we should treat this like a fill-the-blank question. And so we see here, like for 19, we're looking for the words pipes and ducts. Number 22, we're looking for a section containing less than conventional buildings, something less. 21 should be easy to find because of the words diagonal bracing, and 20 is something that's chosen by a customer. All right, it's also important to keep in mind that they may use synonym language, okay? They may use synonym language from the language that's in the question to the correct sentence that's in the passage. Remember, your answer choices are coming from a particular sentence in the passage, and you have to find that sentence. That's what it's all about, finding and understanding. Finding and understanding. Finding and understanding. All right, so let's look for our first one dealing with pipes and ducts. And that's going to be easy to find because it has to be together. And also there are no synonyms for pipes and ducts. So We should be able to find those words exactly, and I'm scanning down now. Oh, all right, I found it already. All right, and also this paragraph B is a good paragraph because it says, so far Broad has built 16 structures. So that tells me that this whole paragraph is discussing how something is built. And remember, I told you that if we had a diagram we had a diagram that was describing something being built, and so it was helpful to find a paragraph that discussed something being built. That was very, very helpful. So let's read what it says about pipes and ducts. Pipes and ducts for electricity. I'm right here, everybody. Paragraph B, and I'm in the 1, 2, 3, 4th sentence. Starts with the word pipes. You can see the little hand on the screen. Pipes and ducts for electricity, water, and waste are threaded through each floor module while it's still in the factory. All right, pipes and ducts for electricity, water, and waste are threaded through each floor module while it's still in the factory. All right, pipes and ducts installed while in factory. Number 19 is factory, right? They're installed while they're in the factory. You can see that's in the sentence. All right, it says pipes and ducts for electricity, water, waste are threaded through each floor while still in the factory. All right, when it says threaded through each floor, that's synonym for saying installed. All right, when it says threaded through each floor, all right, that's a synonym for saying installed. Remember, I told you with fill the blank questions, if you find the language that comes before the blank line, the important language that comes before the blank line, you can always know what the answer is. And when it says thread through each floor, that's saying installed. All right, that's saying installed. And so that tells us that our answer is going to be they're installed while in the factory. But we can only write one word for our answer, so we have to write factory. If you write the factory, it's wrong. Okay, the is a word. The is a word, and so we have to be very strict and be very technical about it. Okay, be very strict and technical about it. All right, you just write the word factory. Next, we're looking for something chosen by the customer. And I'm going to assume that this question goes in order. Because like I said, the vast majority of the time, that's what it does. Oh, here it is right here. Right afterwards, it says the client's choice. Right? Client's choice, chosen by the customer, synonym language. Right? They're not going to put the exact same synonym language in two different sentences. Okay? They're not going to do that to you. I mean, you can never say never. So let's just say I'm about 95% sure they're never going to do that to you. As many years as I have been teaching the IELTS exam, I can't remember a time when they have done it. Okay? All right, so the client's choice of flooring. So the correct answer is flooring. The correct answer is flooring. F-L-O-O-R-I-N-G. The client's choice of flooring. Right, flooring chosen by customer. Again, you can only write one word. 21, diagonal bracing at the top and bottom of what? Diagonal bracing at the top and bottom of. Keywords are top and bottom of. And yeah, like I said, we're going to assume we're going in order. There's diagonal bracing right there. All right, we see it right there. And you see it's going in order. Here's number 20. Here's number 19 with pipes and ducts. Here's number 20 with client's choice, flooring. And down here's number 21 with diagonal bracing. So you can see, it's as I told you, that this question, the diagram question, for the most part, is going to go in order. Okay, so let's read what it says. It starts with the unique column, right? The unique column design has diagonal bracing at each end and tabs that bolt it to the floors above and below. The unique column design has diagonal bracing at each end. The answer is column, right? The column has diagonal bracing at each end. At each end is synonym for top and bottom, okay? At each end, right here, at each end is synonym for top and bottom. So what's at each end? A column. So the answer is column. See how that works? So a lot of times what you have to be aware of is they may switch the word order may be switched up between the question and the passage. Okay? So what I mean by that is this. Here it says diagonal bracing at the top and bottom of a column. Right? So we have top and bottom of the column. In the passage, we have top and bottom of the column. In the passage, it says there's a column at each end. So you see it's reversed. It's reversed, and you have to be aware of that. Here, the correct answer is, of course, top and bottom of column, top and bottom of column. However, in the passage, the way it's written in the passage is there's a column at each end. Right? There's a column at the top and the bottom. So the word order is reversed. The word order is reversed. And so that's important to make sure you're aware of that it does not have to come in the exact same word order that is written. All right, and for number 22, I'm looking for something about I have to find language that means less. Right? That's probably what I'm going to focus on more than anything else, the word less. For number 22, the word less and the word conventional building. Because the word less, it should be easy to find. It's probably going to be using synonyms in the passage. And that's the trick to being able to find the right sentence as the answer comes from. It's not about reading so much and taking on so much. You have to focus on finding the right sentence. That's what you have to focus on. Finding the right sentence. Got to focus on that. Have to do that. All right, so let's keep going down. We're here. I'm looking for a word. I'm scanning through this. Conventional buildings and less. Like I said, I'm scanning. I'm not reading. I'm scanning. We're not really reading. We're just taking it word by word, going through the words without reading. I know that sounds strange, but that's how you have to scan. You're going through the words without reading. I haven't found conventional building. And I haven't found conventional building yet. Oh, here's buildings. All right, there's buildings. I need something talking about less, though. Okay, we're getting close. All right, it says 6 months of starting his research. Zonka giving up traditional methods. Traditional is similar to the word conventional, but I still have to find the language that means the same as less. Here we go. All right, it's in this last sentence right here. To reduce. Here's our last sentence. To reduce means to make less, and here we have the word building right here. Okay? To reduce the overall weight of the building, it had to use less concrete. And we have the word less. We have actually the exact word less right here, less concrete. So the answer would be concrete, C-O-N-C-R-E-T. The answer would be concrete. To reduce the overall weight of the building and use less concrete. All right, now I want you to make a note of something. Okay, I want you to make a note of something. Numbers 19, 20, and 21 were all in paragraph B. Then it skipped paragraph C, and the last answer is in paragraph D. So you see how that is, right? It doesn't have to go paragraph by paragraph. We had 3 of the answers in paragraph B, then it skipped paragraph C, and our next answer was in paragraph D. So you have to be aware that that's a possibility to be able to skip over a paragraph. Okay, got to be aware of that. Okay, so that'll do it for this first example of the diagram question. And now we will go ahead and do another one. Okay? All right, so take care, and I will talk to you soon. Okay, so let's look at another diagram example. All right, for this diagram example, we're looking at this passage is from test number 1 from the Cambridge book number 8. And if you have the book, you are definitely welcome to work along with me. I suggest you get the books. I think they're great, and you should use them. If you want to, you can actually stop the lecture right now and go to Cambridge Book 8, reading passage 1, and you can try to do the question and before I go through it, and then be able to check your answers that way. So I think that's a great way to use this book. And to be able to work with us. All right, so let's look at a diagram question. We've seen this reading passage. We've seen this reading passage before because I used it to do a matching question, which we just learned earlier. We did this matching question right here earlier, and I explained also with this passage about how to do the paragraph location question. In terms of that, we don't do it first. We do the matching and the diagram first, then go back to the paragraph location question. I explained that to you. All right, but here is our diagram right here. All right. So again, a diagram is pretty much like a fill-the-blank question. Okay, it's pretty much like a fill-the-blank question. And now for this diagram, they give us a big clue. They give us a big clue that lets us that's going to help us be able to find the right paragraph or paragraphs to have this information. So I'll give you like 3 seconds to see if you can look at it and be able to know what that clue is. That's going to tell us where how to quickly find the right paragraph. Okay, you ready? It's right here. 1670. How the 1670 lever-based device worked. 1670, right? We should be able to look and find that date very, very fast. And once we find that date, we will find all the answers that go on the blank line. Okay? All right, number 9 is dealing with escapement, and the key word here is resembling. All right, the word resemble means looks like. All right? Very important that you learn vocabulary, okay? The more vocabulary that you learn, the easier this test is going to be. So you got to learn vocabulary. All right. If you don't, I mean, you can learn the vocabulary that you need for the TOEFL exam and the IELTS exam is the same. It doesn't matter if you're studying IELTS for IELTS vocabulary or for TOEFL for vocabulary. It doesn't matter. I'm talking about in terms of like if you see a list that says TOEFL vocabulary, that's good for the IELTS. If you see a list that says IELTS vocabulary, that's good for the TOEFL. All right. So. Don't worry about that. Number 10 has to be a word. Let's look at our directions. How many words can we write? No more than 2 words. Right? Directions say no more than 2 words. We can write 2 words or 1 word. Can't write 3. Number 10 is going to be something that describes what this is. You have to look at what that looks like. Number 11 is going to be a word that describes what these things are right here. These little pointy things. All right, and number 12 and 13 are connected to this language, which beats each. That's very helpful because 12 and 13 are connected. A blank which beats each blank. Okay? All right, so first let's find the paragraph that we need to look for. And we're looking for 1670. And I could do really like a loose scan. I don't have to scan really hard because I'm looking for numbers. I still don't see 1670, but I'm scanning. Looking at numbers, everybody. All I'm looking at are numbers. 1283, 1314. Here we go. 16th century, 1670. All right, there we go. All right. So first, I'm looking for the first one, and I'm looking for something with just like the word resemble. It was called the anchor escapement, which was a lever-based device shaped like a ship's anchor. Oh, there we go. Shaped like. Shaped like is the same thing as resemble. Shaped like is the same as resemble. I'm right here in this in the second sentence of paragraph G. Second sentence of paragraph G. Shaped like a ship's anchor. So the answer I will write is ship's anchor. Ship's anchor. Right there. Ship's anchor. Number 10 and 11. We can look at those together. 10. Well, it looks like a circle. It looks like the wheel of a car. The motion of the pendulum rocks the device so that it catches it and releases each tooth of the escape wheel. Yeah, that's gonna be. That's exactly what that looks like, right? It looks like a wheel, the escape wheel, right? And that other thing looks like a tooth, right? It looks like a tooth. Yeah, tooth and wheel, right? Tooth and wheel, they're together also. Tooth of the escape wheel, right? But if we look here, remember I told you, for a diagonal question, it's possible for the answers to come reversed, right? It's the answer for here, the answers are coming at us reversed. And what I mean by that is this. For number 11, it's coming before number 10. The answer to number 11 is tooth. The answer to number 10 is escape wheel, because that looks like a wheel. But we know 10 and 11 have to be together. But in our passage, number 11, the word tooth is coming before the answer for number 10, the word escape wheel. So that's why I say it, for a diagram question, that's what you have to be aware of. Sometimes if you have two possible answer choices, not two possible answer choices, you have two questions that are right next to each other like that, or they're combined together. It's possible for one of them to come before the other one. And in fact, they really like to do that sometimes on the IELTS exam, because a lot of students are not expecting it and are not prepared for it. Okay, but you have to be. All right, and we have one more. We have 12 and 13. We're looking for a sentence that talks about which beats each. A blank, which beats each. I'm going to focus on that language, which beats each. We're scanning through. They're going in order. So, I mean, they're going in order in terms of their grouping. 10 and 11 were reversed, but... Well, here we go right here. It's in the last sentence. Which could beat. Which could beat. Moreover, this invention allowed for the use of a long pendulum, which could beat once a second. Once a second, once a is synonym for each. Once a is synonym for each. So the answer for number 13 is second. And what language comes right before could beat? Which could beat is long pendulum, right? Long pendulum, right? Moreover, this invention allowed the use of a long pendulum, which could beat once a second, right? So the language right before which could beat is long pendulum. So that's the answer for number 12. And also we have the synonym language for each. Once a is a synonym for each. And so the answer for 13 is second. See right here? A long pendulum which beats each second. Okay? And we have synonym language for each. Once a is synonym for each. So it says once a second, each second. All right. A long pendulum. That comes right before which beats. All right. So those are our answers for 12 and 13. Okay. So when we have diagram questions, just be aware we treat them like fill the blank questions, but we have to be aware when we have two questions that are combined together like 10 and 11, it's possible for them to be reversed in terms of their order in the passage. So we have to be aware of that. Okay. So thanks for joining us, and now we're going to move on to some more practice. So take care, and I'll talk to you soon.